What's up, everyone? Y'all know what it is. It's Al from the Al and Powell Show with a locked and loaded show for you tonight. NBA free agency is coming up. We will discuss that. We will talk a little Cubs, Sox, and I got a special guest, so I got to get his opinions and thoughts. All Chicago sports. So, with all that being said, let's get ready to lock and load, people. Let's go. Oh, Alan Powell. It's the Alan Powell Show. Where we lock and load. Come on. It's the Alan Powell Show. Where we lock and load. Come on. It's the Alan Powell Show. Where we lock and load. It's the Alan Powell Show. Where we lock and load. Come on. Thank y'all for joining us once again. A lot going on in the sports world. I have a special guest in the building. This brother is one of the hardest working men that I know in the business. You can catch him on 670 The Score all over the place. B96, Fox Chicago. He does Bears coverage. I seen him Chicago Fire. This brother is all over the place. Mr. Gabriel Ramirez, thank you for joining, sir.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up?
It's been a long time. Since I talked to you. So because of that, I have to get your opinion and thoughts about a lot of Chicago stuff that's going on. But before we go there, man, upcoming Friday is NBA free agency, and even some moves have already been made. We had the NBA draft as well. So I just want to get your thoughts on a few things, and then we're going to get into the Chicago sports area. NBA free agency is Friday. The Bulls didn't have any draft picks. They got some decisions to make. But Russell Westbrook, I got Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Draymond Green, James Harden as the biggest free agents. What are your thoughts about where they can go and a big of an impact they can make?
Yeah, all right. First of all, it's good to be back, Always good to be chatting with you right here, Als and Pals, Always know Tuesdays where we get it at, right? So, but man, free agency is tough, right? Because, you and I, we're real Bulls fans, right? So it's like we get to the, it's like a boring draft. I had to do an NBA draft special on The Score. Right. And that was tough, right? Because no draft picks. So it's not like you're, prepping. You're more so telling AK what he already knows, which is that you need help on the wings. You need help, in your point guard play. You need a backup center help potentially. And so, going into it, it wasn't too exciting. But, I love what AK said, though, right? Yes. Hey, man, don't judge me right now. Judge me at the end of free agency. So what that tells me is that, he is going to be proactive and trying to be a team that could facilitate some of these big trades and end up on top, like the Boston Celtics, right? Think about them getting Kristaps and 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart. Like, what? Like, that's crazy, right? So to be in that space where you're able to facilitate that but still be a benefactor from that is really cool. And so those top 4 people you mentioned, though, I'm straight on all 4 of those people. I got to be honest, right? I don't want those guys, but I do want me. This is a delusional meet. I don't know. I'm not a numbers cap. No, all that. That's not me. But I like I said, I operate like a fan. So for me, find a way to get Fred VanVleet right there, number 23 on the bottom, right there on the bottom. That's the guy right there you need on the Bulls because he'll love the team. He'll be a better Pat Bev, right? Don't you think he'll be a better? He'll just like he can get to the cup and get the bucket if he needs to. He can, you know what I'm saying? He can get you 15 assists on any game and be the distributor that Lonzo Ball was, you know what I mean? And he can knock down that 3 for you, right? So it's like clearly AK's in the moment where he's all in on this roster. And so why not make it the best you possibly can, especially after, going through last season with the uncertainty with Lonzo Ball.
I know that you was good on all the other ones, but I those are the biggest names. And the only reason I brought those up because Draymond is a free agent. He opted out, but they traded Poole, so it looks like they're going to bring Draymond back. But if a team comes in and offers him, is there any chance that you think Draymond will actually leave Golden State?
That's a good one. Do I think there's a chance? Absolutely, right? I mean, he's won his championships. The man's trying to collect the bag. He's like, he wants that one big contract if someone is willing to give it to him. And so I think that most certainly it's about where does Mr. Dunleavy view Draymond Green in the grand scheme of things, and how much does he value him? Like, what kind of dollar amount does he place on him?
Right.
So I think there's a high. I don't know. I think there's a high. I think it's very likely because I don't think Golden State really wants to pay him a ton, right? I think they want to revamp their team around Steph and Clay as well, and so I don't think Draymond might not necessarily be a part of their plans, especially new GM stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, I honestly I'm a Draymond hater to be honest. So I kind of want to see him go to like a team and really realize that life ain't sweet without, what I'm saying, Steph and
Yeah.
Clay, because he really thinks it's sweet in the
Right.
NBA.
But I think what happened was when Steve Kerr comes out and says, "Well, we're not contenders without Draymond Green," that almost gives Draymond the leverage. Like,
Man,
they have to.
nah, that's your
No.
boy, Al. That's your boy. It's like if you wanted to kick me off of your show, you'd be like, "Yo, Gabe, good dude, man. That's my guy." But he'll still kick me out. So I mean, because that's business and that's what it is. So Steve Kerr still said they won championships together. They've been through wars. They've
Right.
been through memories that not many people can share. So that's always going to be his guy. So he's always going to say that. But I think when they put him in a closet or put him in a small room and ask him what direction he wants to go in,
Right.
I don't think he's gonna say Draymond Green.
Black Butterfly Pop says, "Oh snap! What up, Gabe? That means he definitely knows
What up?
you.
What
He
up?
likes that you're here. Man. So Kyrie Irving, I think like he's the wild card. He wants the bag, but with all his off the court, you never know where he's going to be at. Who's going to pony up and give him a contract? I think he's might have to be a prove it deal. What do you think is going to happen with him?
Yeah, it's such an interesting situation with Kyrie Irving, right? You know how talented he is. It's
Yes.
just a matter of can he dedicate his life to basketball at a level that can help a team win an NBA championship? And the answer is yeah, right? I mean, Kyrie could ball. That's what we know. Kyrie is still Kyrie, and that's what
Yeah.
everybody banks on. So somebody's going to give him something. It's just like you saw the Dallas Mavericks do. I think he runs it back with Dallas. I think Mark Cuban, tells Kyrie, hey, listen, last half of the year was a trial run. We didn't make the playoffs. We tried to take a shot at Wemby. We didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what? We're going to try to see what we can do to build this roster a little bit better around you. And I think there's a selling point there. I think things could still happen. NBA is wild. So
Yes.
I think Mark Cuban, unless the only way Kyrie is not a Dallas Maverick this year is like if Luca and Mark Cuban were out having drinks somewhere, and Luca was like, "Bruh, I'm straight. I'm passing on
Right.
Kyrie." That's like the only way it can happen. Other than that, I think Kyrie's back in Dallas.
How many years? How many years do you give him?
See, that's the interesting part, right? I mean, because you can give him a short-term deal. That's what I would do, like a two-year deal with a one-year player option. So 3-year total, but not a player option, a team option. I give you a 3-year deal. Get you a little 90 million, get you a little 30 million a year. But third year is a team option. I mean, again, I'm no exec with the money, whatever, but I
Right. Right.
I mean, I know how I would value someone, and if I think that seems fair for both parties. Look, make 60 million real quick. Why not?
That's interesting. Because I definitely wanted you to put your GM hat on for a second. If Gabe was in that room, what would he give Kyrie Irving?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's tough. Um, it was some more news. Bradley Beal got traded to the Suns. And it seemed like he got traded for nothing. Second round draft picks, old Chris Paul. I mean, how did they get away with that? I know that Washington probably wanted to get out of that deal, but I mean, he's a better basketball player than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody values Bradley Beal. You saw him kind of take a step back though last year, right?
Right,
With Kyle Kuzma and with Chris Stapps. I mean, they really couldn't put their finger on who was going to be the dominant player. And let's not forget, the Washington Wizards were nice at the beginning of the season. Remember, they
right.
got out to a nice little run. They were winning some games, and then they just couldn't stay healthy at the same time. So, I mean, everybody values Bradley Beal, right? That's without a doubt, I think. But I'm more worried about the Suns and seeing how that's going to operate, right? It's not like I mean, if they got to keep Aiton, I know he's on the trading block, but they got to keep him. But you got a bunch of scorers, like who's going to play any defense, right? And we seen in these NBA finals and these NBA playoffs, like defense certainly matters, and you have
Right.
to have two-way players to compete at that super high level. You saw the Suns do it. You saw the Miami Heat do it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Suns do with Bradley Beal too.
Okay, and then lastly, with NBA players on the move, will Damian Lillard finally leave Portland, or will he just gut it out?
Man, that's a good one. First, I gotta say, I love Scoot Henderson. I thought he should have been the number 2 pick in the draft. I
Right.
think he's gonna be better than Brandon Miller. And not to say that Brandon Miller's not gonna be great. I just think Scoot Henderson is gonna be like an impact player in the NBA that you hear about often. And so I love that he's on Portland. I was talking to a guy named Brandon Segru. He does radio out in Portland. I was doing a show on the Beck Hill Network on Sunday with him, and I was just asking him straight up because he's a Trailblazers fan the way that I'm and you out. We're Bulls fans, so I'm like,
Right.
what are you thinking? And they were just salty because they knew with that draft pick, like they were hoping Brandon Miller slipped down to them
Right.
because they feel like Dame Lillard has never played with a great wing.
Right.
And so they wanted to give him somebody like that. So he's like, they just know that either Scoot or Dame isn't going to be there, by the middle of the season. You know what I mean? So one of them isn't. So it's like they don't care because they're back to CJ McCollum and
Right.
Dame Lillard now.
So you saying that Scoot should have been number 2? So you would have played LaMelo and Scoot together?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the NBA is 2023.
Yeah,
You need
you're right.
high flying, high scoring buckets and some defense, right? People are moving the ball a ton. You're getting up, upwards of 90 shots a game.
Yeah.
And you move the ball more, shoot more threes. I mean, LaMelo Scoot, that's like the perfect combination. Throwing oops to him, running the fast break. LaMelo wants to run. He misses Miles Bridges, right? He doesn't have him anymore, the high flying guard. But Scoot can play like that. He can play above the rim. Obviously, he's got to work on his shooting, but in a running gun, offense, they got a Mike D'Antoni type offense. They got a. I don't know. I would have liked it better.
Did Jordan finally just mess up his last pick on his way out from selling the team by
Nah,
not
I think.
getting Brandon Miller instead?
Don't you think that, like, if you were buying a team, don't you think you would be in the room and be like, "Hey, this is who I want"? So I don't think it was him. I mean, at
Okay.
least I hope that the new owners did that. Like, I hope they didn't just let them make that pick. But
I mean, they said that Jordan was on a phone call talking to him like
right,
he was a part of that pick. So I
hey,
mean,
maybe Mike sees it. Who knows? But Brandon Miller's going to be nice. There's no doubt about it. We saw what he did at Alabama, despite the adversity.
right.
Now he's cleared of all that, so he's coming into the NBA. I think he's still going to have a chip on his shoulder, but I just think it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to adjust to the NBA game, right? A lot of guys that are 6'9", a lot of guys that are as athletic, a lot of guys that can't play defense, but they're not as offensively gifted as Brandon
Right.
Miller. And I think that's what's going to separate him and show him to do well in Charlotte too.
Let's get to the Bulls. You talked about a little bit. You want Fred VanVleet. What's going to happen with Vooch? I mean, he's a free agent. They traded our draft picks for Vooch, and so if you don't have draft picks and then you lose Vooch, what did the Bulls get?
Yeah. I think Vooch is going to sign with Chicago. I think he likes it here. I think he understands, what this market is, and especially, with his particular community. I mean, I think it serves him well to be here in Chicago, especially if we're going to get rid of, DeMar.
Right.
But so I think the Bulls will sign him. But I'll say this, man, I really don't like the narrative of like, oh, AK messed up because he gave up these draft picks and he gave up whatever. Al, you and I watch the NBA.
Yeah.
Ain't
Draft
no,
pick.
ain't no, ain't no Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, and whoever they picked this year. They're not propelling the Bulls to some NBA championship run,
Yeah.
right? So this narrative where it's like, oh, he messed up, whatever. You'd still rather have Vooch on your team, and I'm gonna tell you why. How many players in the NBA? 450, right?
Yeah.
450. Do you know how many average over 10 rebounds a game? 10.
Yeah.
That's it. 10 players in the NBA out of 450 average 10 rebounds a game. Vooch sits at number 5.
Mm,
So what team in the NBA doesn't want the 5th best rebounder? Oh,
hmm.
by the way, he could also put up a dub for you
Yeah.
quickly, right? So it's like, who doesn't want that guy? So it's mind blowing to me because I don't think people are really understanding the alternative. They hear draft picks, they hear what could be or what should have been 5 players. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Those people can't. do nothing for you. They're not gonna make you that much better of a team, but you can build one around Vooch and Zach moving forward, especially if you get some good play. So again, I'm here for Vooch on the team. Give him his little money, whatever. Keep him here. Pair him up with Zach. Keep that pick and roll going. You know, I don't know about you, Al. I don't know if you play ball, but the shot always gets better when you get older. So maybe Vooch, you know what I'm saying, just gets a year older and starts smacking a little bit. You never know.
It seems like you might be okay with them moving on from DeMar DeRozan. Is that the case?
Absolutely. I think listen, there's no shade at DeMar, right?
Right.
I think one thing I learned about DeMar, same as I did with Lonzo Ball, like they were way better than I thought they were, right?
Right.
Like I always knew DeMar was nice,
Right.
but when he was on the Bulls, you were just like, holy,
Yeah.
like this is crazy,
Yeah.
right? Like he's playing out of his mind. So it was another level of DeMar that I hadn't seen and I wasn't aware of. So I had the ultimate respect for DeMar DeRozan. I'm talking about constructing a team that can compete in the playoffs. And in order to do that, you have to let Zach Levine be Zach Levine, especially since you gave him that money. And he is good enough. He's 28 years old. He's young,
Yeah.
28. He's going to be dominating the league for the next 4 years. Not dominating, but he's going to be a top tier player for the next 4 years because of his scoring ability, right?
Yeah.
He can play a little hard, try to play a little hard defense, whatever that is. But because of his scoring ability, that's why Devin Booker's good, guys like that. So, Zach in that place is going to be fine. You keep him there. You build the team around him. You got Vooch, older vet, filling out the four spot that could extend the floor. Loving that. But now it's how do you pivot from Lonzo Ball?
Right.
How do you pivot from him? How do you get another point guard in there that's not just filling a hole, but actually being someone that can contribute to the success of the team? That's where the Bulls find themselves at right now.
I don't know how much money they have to spend, but if they keep Vooch, do they have enough money to get a Fred VanVleet?
The NBA, bro. It's the NBA. AK said they'd be willing to go in the luxury tax in the right
Okay.
situation. I think that, it's the NBA, man. They'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Figure
They'll
it
get creative. They'll put 6 teams in the trade. Like they always do. And it's people always be like, oh, the money this, the money that. Next thing you know, Rudy Gobert is on the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
before you know
Right.
it.
Right.
So
Okay. I got a few more questions
yeah,
before I get you up out of here because,
I got you.
like I said, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
So,
man.
Cubs and Sox, they in mid-season right now. I listened to your show today. You led the show up to Cubs
Yep.
pregame. Cubs are doing better than the Sox. I don't know how many people expected that. I don't understand it. I know the White Sox got a new head coach, but it seems like they're underachieving. I feel like the Cubs are a little bit overachieving. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, what's your thoughts on the Cubs and Sox?
Yeah, I think the Cubs, are a pleasant surprise, right?
Right,
Where I think most Cubs fans thought the Cubs would be hovering around 500,
right,
and so the style in which they've won and lost games has kept Cubs fans at least interested, and especially because they're in the weekend now Central where they're under 10 games back, not even at the halfway point. So, Cubs fans feel good about that. But they got a good pitching staff. That's really what it boils down to, right? Justin Steele, Kyle Hendricks has been pitching well for them since he's come back. Marcus Stroman, despite the blister injury, just pitching well. So their pitching's right, their
right,
defense is right. They're still working on getting some runs on the board. But that's the problem for the White Sox too, right? We saw it yesterday. Dylan Cease 10 strikeouts. Sox only able to put up that one run, which was a homer, another solo home run by Luis Robert Jr. I don't know. I think both teams have just simply you've already seen who these teams are going to be, right?
right.
The Cubs are going to be a team that's hovering around 500. They can win some games they shouldn't, lose some games they shouldn't, and the White Sox are going to be a team that the assumption is the talent is there, but the talent never comes through, and it just leads to more losses, and then they end up being, a team that's 15 games below 500 by the time the thing's all said and done.
And the coach is his first year, so he's not going to go anywhere. So he's going to have time to figure it out. It would just be disappointing if they don't turn it around. But that's the Cubs and Sox. Before I get you up out of here,
Yeah.
Bears.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
a lot of moves, draft picks. I got the list. First, let's go through free agency because that happened first, I believe. They went linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. Then they got signed the running back Foreman, O lineman Davis, defensive end Walker. The defense was terrible last year, especially after they made the trades.
Oh
So
yeah.
they shore up the linebacker position. I don't know how the D line and O line is going to work out. But what are your thoughts about the free agency pickups?
Yeah, I got to be honest, man. I was hyped. I think that I think you said it best just a second ago. Like the Bears' defense was trash last year,
Yes,
and so any sort of upgrade to get them to be like in the middle of the pack means the team is better, right? I
right,
mean, Ryan Poles said that when he first got brought to Chicago. He said, "I drafted, a safety and a cornerback in the second round because I felt like even though they're not weapons for Justin Fields, if I make the defense better, I make the team better, and
right.
as a result, Justin Fields is better." So I think they addressed that in free agency. I thought that was great. I thought that was great, man. Getting those guys some dogs that could play. Getting a couple defensive tackles in the draft. To help out with that rotation and just get some guys that could stop the run and put some pressure there. And then the DB situation, Tyreek Stevens is going to be nice on the outside, a cornerback,
Yes,
young guy they brought in the draft. So, you add him to a secondary that I feel like was already performing at a high level. Eddie
yes,
Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, and of
yes,
course, Jalen Johnson. I mean, Bears, really got me feeling good in that space. But the fact of the matter is this: out. It just boils down to Justin Fields. We all know it, and we can't get ahead of ourselves like we've done with quarterbacks in the past, like Rex Grossman, Mitch Trubisky. Right? We see the talent, but it
yes,
needs to be consistent. Those guys were all good enough to get to the NFL. Hell, Rex Grossman was good enough to get the Bears to the Super Bowl. But the
yes.
fact of the matter is, he was inconsistent, and that's what we see from Justin Fields. And if he could be that dude this year, that's just a little bit better. Just don't plateau,
Yeah,
right? Don't plateau. Don't get worse. Don't stay the same. Just continue to get a little bit better. Then I'll be happy because then that means next year everybody's in trouble. Because if he's still getting better next year,
right.
and the Bears have built that team around him even more, then that's when we should be excited as Bears fans.
They got him DJ Moore, a top what? I don't know what number to call him, but he's a bona fide wide receiver.
Yeah.
What are your predictions as far as a win loss after free agency, after the draft? What are your thoughts? Aaron Rodgers is out the division. What are your thoughts for
Yeah.
the Bears?
It's interesting, you go through the schedule and any Bears fan will end with some like ridiculous number, right? Like I think we've all done that. But then I go to Vegas and Vegas has it at 7.5. Now I gamble a lot.
Yeah,
And I feel like Vegas plays with your mind, right? They'll say 7.5, knowing that it's going to be 6 or 7 wins, but they put
right.
7.5 because they want Bears fans to bet the over, to think that it's just so easy and obvious. And everybody I've spoken to has the Bears winning over 7.5 games. Clay Harbor, former NFL vet, Mark Grody, Bears sideline
Mhm.
analyst, Alyssa Bergamini. I mean, everyone I've asked, they've all said the same thing. And then Dan Carpuck came on from BetQL. He's one of our managing editors over there. And he
Uh-huh.
said that the BetQL model had the Bears winning 7.
Oh,
Now, so in my heart of hearts, I do think it's 7. I think the Bears are going to lose some games that where they're just not as talented as the better teams in certain situations. So I think 7 is right.
okay.
But listen, I'm here for being wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying 7,
Yeah.
but like don't come for me in the comments in week 10 when the Bears are 8-2. Like I'm riding that train with everybody. Like Bears to the playoffs, to the world blow up, like everything. Like so I'm saying 7, but I think what I've said is it's gonna be 8 with a 1 game up or down. You know what I'm saying? It could be 9, it could be 7. You know what I'm saying? So it's 8 with an up or down 1. That's what I think for the
Do you
Bears.
have Detroit and Minnesota over the Bears in the division?
Ooh.
Because that's what I'm getting. If you only got them
Yeah.
around the 7 to 8 mark,
Yeah.
you have
I think Minnesota wins the division. I
okay,
think people are underestimating who they are, right? In terms of continuity. Still
right,
got Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. You added Jordan Addison, who's a dog out of USC. Like, you've added talent. And, in this NFL, it's about scoring points. And, you get a brand new running back in there. You move on from Dalvin Cook, allocate resources elsewhere, shoring up some defense. Like Minnesota to me seems like a lock to win the division. And then Detroit after that. I think Detroit's still gonna struggle with Jared Goff. He's gonna be
yeah,
good. He's not gonna be great. And I think their coaching staff. I've said this a lot on a lot of different shows. I think the coaching staff is gonna like impede their growth and not allow them to be the team that they can be. I think they're not gonna be. Yeah, I think they're poorly coached.
okay. Got you, got you, got you.
Harsh. I know. Damn, I'm usually not that harsh. I gotta be honest. But that was harsh. It was like they're poorly coached. Like if I could go coach in the NFL or something like that.
Right.
Terrible, terrible.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on for this time, man. I know you got to get going, but I appreciate you taking the time out, man.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody where they can catch you, man, because you all over the place, man. I know you 670, Chicago Fire, the Bears,
Yeah.
you're covering them. Tell everybody where they can catch you.
Yeah, so tomorrow, actually, Wednesday, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday morning, gonna be doing the morning show on 670 to score. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
be with David Hall tomorrow. So catch me in the morning on 670 on your way to work, on the way to drop off the kids, make them listen to some sports in the morning.
Yes.
But like you said, everywhere, man. I'm everywhere the money is. So, that's how many jobs I got. I'm trying to eat it all. It's money. What I say to people is there's money in a room
Yes.
that's just waiting there, right? And your job is to just go get the money in the room, right? And that's all that is. Where it's there, just go get it. You got to go get it though, right? You got to work hard, got to go do all that stuff. So I'll be on 670 score tomorrow morning, 5:30 to 10, and then from 10 to 3 on B96.
There you go.
But that'll be my last day in that shift doing that. So that'll be good. Nice little something off my shoulders. And then you know what it is, man. Chicago_Gabe. Follow me on Instagram. And catch me on social media. Al, it's always a pleasure, bro. Good seeing you.
Appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, got you.
That was Gabe Ramirez jumping on for the Allen Pals, talking some Chicago sports and giving you all the rundown, man. So listen, I just wanted to come in and check with y'all. Listen, NBA free agency is coming Friday. We're going to see if the Bulls do anything, if they got anything coming. Big moves I'm expecting to be made. And we're going to keep up with you. So listen, I just wanted to check in with you. And thank y'all for tuning in. I will see y'all next week. See y'all. We out.
Hello, Allen Pals. It's the Allen Pals Show. Yeah.